Hello, everybody, to another investor social today. As I said, I'm here in Toronto. If you don't know who I am, my name is Natasha Phipps. I am the team leader of Phipps Real Estate Group and real estate investor in Calgary, Alberta. And the purpose of these socials obviously started out on Zoom, like everything else in the last couple of years. But the purpose of these is to provide a platform to get together, to network, and also just to take on a topic, one at a time, and see if we can't help one another, get to know one another, and talk about problems. So our topic is leveling up in, we have it as Calgary real estate, but a lot of these topics are going to cover real estate in general. So what you can expect from this evening is we're going to talk, first, we're going to be have our first speaker, Alexandra from our team, and we're going to talk specifically about Calgary. We're going to talk about what's going on in Calgary, what's kind of happened in the last few months, what the market's doing, and as a result, for us investors, what that might mean for us. So Alex is going to take us through that, which is super awesome. And then I'm going to be talking about specifically facing challenges, and we all face challenges, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Maybe, jot down a couple things like what your top challenges are. And I would love to kind of take 20 minutes ish, and even more. We'll kind of see how it goes, to discuss specific challenges. Very common ones are, analysis paralysis, financing, potentially friends and family, hard to find deals. What are the challenges that you're facing? And let's talk about them. So that isn't specific to Calgary necessarily. We all have challenges. And then we're going to be joined by the third speaker after that, Andrea Tessier from our team. And she is our guru on the team, and she is going to talk to us about mindset. So she has a background in teaching and yoga, and is a coach. So we're going to just spend a few minutes on our mindset together as well. Then at the end, as always, we will kind of wrap it up, take your questions, and feel free, if you're thinking of things through the evening, to throw them in the chat, and we can either address them at the time, or at least it's written down and I can kind of keep track for what we need to cover at the end. So let's think about our challenges for that section later on. So one second here. So as I just went over, this is our agenda for the evening. And the overall goal of every event that we do is that we're here to help you achieve your goals. So let's ask questions and be supportive of one another. And there's tons of knowledge in this Zoom room already with the participants that we have. And so I look forward to talking about obstacles and what you need to know right now. So here we go. So for those of you who may not know Alexandra is a realtor on my team, and she started as a real estate investor and then became a realtor a few years back now. And she's a top performing realtor, a very successful real estate investor with her and her husband. And she's going to give us her take on the Calgary real estate market and what you need to know. So I'm going to spotlight her, and we will get started. You ready, Alex?
I am.
Okay, I'm going to spotlight you. 1 second. There. Welcome. Thank you.
Hello.
Look and sound great.
Thank you so much. Everybody can hear me well? I don't typically speak at these as much at these events as Natasha, so bear with me. But well, nice to see you all. I'm Alex, and today I'll talk just for a few minutes about Calgary because it has been such an unusual market for us. And I'm not sure how closely you've been following the market trends here, but you're in luck because just yesterday, CREB, our Calgary Real Estate Board, released last quarter's numbers. So this is literally fresh off the press. So last quarter, in fact, just to back up, for the first time in many, many years, Calgary had a proper seller's market this year. It started back in January, and just like everywhere else, it was, mostly a result of pent-up demand because during COVID, nobody was buying or selling. So that has much to do with this. But much to everyone's surprise, it actually persisted all of spring, all of summer, and it's just tapering off right now. So housing market blew everybody away, exceeded expectations. Aside from COVID that I mentioned, it was also driven, like everywhere else, by low interest rates and increased savings among the buyers. So just to throw some numbers at you, for detached homes, which was the busiest sector, last quarter saw 3,976 sales. That's in detached homes, but overall sales across all of the product types. So that includes apartments, row townhouses, duplexes. That was 6,630, making it the best third quarter since 2014. So you can see why we're all excited. We really haven't seen a market like this. And at the same time, our inventory levels haven't kept up with demand. So new listings was almost 5,000, up by 7.2% as compared to this time last year. The residential benchmark price for detached homes specifically is 538,700, or 10.5% increase year over year. So this is all good news for sellers. And like I mentioned, now we're mid-October, we're moving towards more balanced conditions. Although if you price your house well, the market in some sectors still favors the seller. But at least the supply-demand balance is helping release the pressure of the prices. So what else has been going on in Calgary? I think everybody heard that last Monday in Alberta, many cities and smaller towns had their municipal elections, and both Calgary and Edmonton got their brand new mayors. So Jyoti Gondek became the first woman to serve as Calgary mayor. Yay. But what does it really mean for us? Well, she's progressive, much like Mayor Nenshi was. She has PhD in urban planning. She has been on a city council before, so not a complete newbie to politics. And she did support Mayor Nenshi. So I don't know, think of her as Nenshi 2.0, I suppose. And as such, why this is important to know is because it's almost certain that she's going to continue the legacy of Mayor Nenshi with respect to the secondary suites. So as many of you know or have basement suites in Calgary, we have an amnesty period until the end of this year. December 31st is a deadline where you can legalize it to fire code as opposed to builder code. We don't quite know if they're going to extend the program or if they're going to cap it. They already given us one extension. So it's quite possible that they'll shut it down, in which case Natasha and I are going to host a webinar and give you details about it. But it's kind of up in the air. We have the deadline looming. So if you do have a secondary suite that hasn't been legalized yet, you might want to put your application now before December 31st, because as long as your application is in, they're gonna honor it. Exactly. So that's one of the things that this will affect, this election. Actually, funny, one of her first interviews, Mayor-elect Gondek said that Calgary needs to move past oil and gas. So that, of course, caused an uproar in some circles, but she's not entirely wrong. So to back up, as you know, 2014 oil price collapse. At first, everybody in Calgary was hoping for better times to return, but now 7 years later, I feel like our economy and our community has changed, and people started moving in different directions with or without government interference. So there's already a lot of programs, some of which I'll discuss in a minute, but it's already happening, the diversification of our economy. So as per Mayor Gondek's new platform that she announced, her main focus will be diversification of our downtown, which at the moment, if you've been to Calgary, you know it's a ghost town with 30% vacancy rate. So her plans are very broad.
In commercial.
Sorry?
In the commercial space you're talking about.
In the commercial space, correct, yes. So this is going to take probably a decade, right? It's not going to be something that can be easily fixed because it's a complex issue. We have, we're sitting on like 60 million in real estate, most of it commercial. It's not that easy to convert, those office towers with aging elevator shafts into condos. It's not that easy, but they're trying to introduce a lot more mixed use spaces. So conversion of office space is one of the ways they're going to do it. Obviously convert it to retail, some residential, but they're also talking about making downtown more lively, bringing grocery stores, possibly university campus or some sort of college. They want young people there. And so if you want young people there, you have to provide for them something to do. And another good thing is that will affect us as investors is she's very pro Green Line LRT, the Green Line LRT being our C train station, C train that runs across Canada, or Calgary, sorry. So Calgary now, so back in the day when LRT was first established, we only had like 60, well, I can't remember how many lines, but regardless, right now we have more than one commercial cores. So it's not just downtown. We have a commercial core in Quarry Park. We have the South Health Campus, and up in the north, we've got the Center Street North. So it's really important that the Green Line gets pushed through to connect these residential spaces, right?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of on the election, very brief overview. And then moving on to the economy, much like every other province, Alberta, Calgary, we've had some chaos with regards to our economic recovery, but we are recovering quicker than originally expected. Good news is we added 70,000 jobs since the start of the year. We gained almost 90% of these jobs lost during the pandemic, but everybody's talking about the brain drain. Some service workers are not returning to work in restaurants or tourism or service industry. So it's not, 100% fixed yet, but some good news, oil. Well, oil prices climbed above today $82 US per barrel. My slide is a couple of days old, but it just keeps climbing up. Same for natural gas markets. And I think you all follow the news, you see what's happening in Europe with shortages of oil and increase in natural gas markets. And in Alberta, oil production over the last 8 months totaled 865 million barrels. And this is seriously the highest level of production on record ever. So good times. Mm-hmm. And if you're rolling your eyes at me right now because, Calgary and oil, I have some great news with regards to more sustainable projects. So first one being Dow Chemicals in Edmonton. They're investing staggering $10 billion into its petrochemical plant. This is the biggest capital investment in our province the last 15 years. Their goal is to transition their plants to net zero emissions. Very hefty goal. Also in the sustainable news, Canada's largest provider of sustainable building materials, called Lafarge Canada, partner with our own local builder, Matney Homes. They're planning to build 450 brand new homes per year using their brand new green, quote unquote, concrete. So this is the first Canadian green concrete, which is a blend of like demolition materials and upcycled construction materials. So we'll definitely be hearing more about this. And also this year, this is exciting, in order to jumpstart the diversification of our economy, the province started this new fund. It's called Alberta Innovates Fund. It's upwards, I think, close to 300 million, 286 last time I checked, but it changes. But anyways, this grant will support local tech, sustainability, agricultural startup companies. So very cool. And then I think you've heard Natasha talk in the past webinars about the 11 billion TAZA development. That's happening now. The work is undergoing. It's basically about 1,200 acres on the First Nation Tsuut'ina nation. It's mostly commercial spaces. And as part of the plan, they feature low carbon, energy efficient design. And it's a major, major project. It's going to go on for many years. And it's very exciting. It's near Breeside Cedarbrae community. In case you're looking for where do I buy my next property, definitely get in touch. I can show you where. Moving on to new construction. This quarter, there's been really significant gains in the new home sector. Housing starts are up 70% in Calgary alone. Urban housing totaled 2,152 last month. And by comparison, Canadian housing starts increased by 11% in the same period. But it's good for us. It's good for employment, growth in things like finance, insurance, construction industry, all of it is great. Speaking of employment, unemployment, in Alberta, we're still sitting at 8.2%. So that translates roughly to about 200,000 people looking for work, but unable to find a job. And they don't specify, are we talking careers or just jobs? But, you know, by comparison, Canadian unemployment rate was 6.9 at the same time. And one other thing that I wanted to talk to you is the net migration. So last quarter, so population has slowed in Alberta in the last 2 years, but last quarter specifically saw an outflow of almost 6,000 people. So that's pretty large loss since, I guess, 2016 or 17 even. And we're mostly losing residents to BC. Maybe it's the better climate, maybe it's, you know, economic weakness, maybe it's the whole brain drain that they're talking about. But it also, the number is a little bit skewed because it's not taking into consideration that during COVID, so 2 years of COVID, we as a country stopped accepting international immigrants either. Excuse me. So another thing that just happened, Calgary alone just accepted 3,000 Afghanistan refugees, and the Catholic Immigration Society is working with a lot of volunteers on having them resettled here just as we speak. So, but overall, we are losing more people than we're gaining, and that's why, you know, rebuilding downtown and investing in diversification is what we need in order to attract new people to be excited about moving to Calgary. And that's kind of it that's been happening in last quarter. I mean, it's only been 3 months, but I wanted to give you numbers in case you're looking to buy a property here and you remember last year was a buyer's market. In fact, the last 5 years it was a buyer's market, and now suddenly you're comparing prices and you're thinking, what happened? Yeah. So now you have a little bit of a better overview. And if you have any questions, send me a quick email. On this slide, there's my email because that, like, I just focus on Calgary specifically, but we have all the satellite communities as well. And so the CREB report goes really in depth about the numbers. I just didn't want to overwhelm you and bore you with this. So that's awesome. All I have for now.
It's great. Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
Very good. Well done. Saw a couple questions. Oh, no, that's good. Okay. Yes. So take a screenshot of this. We can obviously send you the full report so you can get all the information. A good resource for Calgary specifically too is the Calgary Economic Development site. Did you use that for some of your research, Alex?
I did, yeah.
So that is a really good resource that we use to get specific, because often it's the whole province or not specifically Calgary. So that's a good resource. Awesome. Big claps. Thank you, Alex. Well done. And to kind of add to the new construction and even the employment, like there's so much opportunity here right now. We are short almost every kind of trade you can think of here in Calgary. I know many of our clients have bought new construction, and, you know, just because of how much of a boom there has been in the new construction space, yeah, that we're short on all types of trades. And as a result, you've seen delays, you've seen, things take a little bit longer than they used to. We used to be turning over, legally suited new construction properties in 4 to 6 months. And now we're talking about a year out. Partly because we've sold through everything that was, at least developed and closing quickly. And partly it's also because as COVID hit, the land developers kind of stopped developing land at the pace they were, but builders and new construction just went crazy. And so as a result, we're now kind of in a position where we're actually having to sell into communities where the developments aren't even opened yet. So we're like not able to start construction until spring. And so it's a really interesting time, but the overall sentiment here is with rising oil prices that we're kind of like in this, pressure cooker, and we're just kind of turning a corner is really what it feels like out in conversations and talking to people. So it's a really exciting time. There's just a lot of activity flocking to Calgary. I'm interested in the net migration numbers for the next 12 months or so, because I am hearing of many, many people moving to Calgary purely because they can buy something, they can work from anywhere, or they're getting a job in Calgary. But I'm very happy that we're diversifying and really shining a light. And I think the younger generation is doing a really good job of this, of shining a light on what else can we do in Calgary and in Alberta, period. So it's a very exciting time here. But yeah, we, won't dive too much more into that today, but certainly something we'll be watching. And as Alex said, if there's any changes with the secondary suite regulations, you can bet we will be right on top of that, and we'll do a event right away, because obviously for us investors, secondary suites are very important to all of us. So we will keep our eyes and ears peeled for that. Okay, I am just going to, great job, Alex. Awesome. Okay, so now we are going to talk about overcoming obstacles. I'd love to hear, like if you could pick one or two things in the chat, like what would be your top obstacle? Like common things I hear obviously are financing, funds, finding partners. Our last event was joint ventures. If you weren't at the last event, we do have a recording of it, and it's a really common obstacle that comes up. So if you weren't at the last event, definitely go watch that recording if joint ventures are something that's of interest to you. So we're talking about obstacles. So please put your obstacles in the chat. I'd love to hear what you feel is an obstacle. The recording, Eileen, is in two places. One, any recordings that we do or interviews that we do go on our YouTube channel. Please go. I'm terrible at telling people about this channel. Please go check it out. It's called Calgary Real Estate Investing, the exact same name as our Facebook group. So our Facebook group will always post any recordings of events in there, and they'll also go live on the YouTube channel. So go check that out, go on YouTube and set the notifications. And that way, every time we upload something, you will get notified. So please go check it out. We'd love to have you follow us, of course, there. So Kevin, yes, challenging to find good management and managing your manager. Huge. That's a huge one. Opportunities in Calgary when price is high, short on tradespeople. Very good points. Yeah. Analysis paralysis. That's a very common one, 100%. Knowing what to do next. And a common one I hear too is like us as investors, we want to be open to everything, but sometimes if you're open to everything, it's very hard to do anything. Yeah. And that's a really common thing that I talk to our clients about, is getting specific. So things like finances, time, knowledge, fear, all of those things, it doesn't really matter where you are in your investing career, you're going to have more or some or all of these at times, and all kinds of things along the way that can prohibit you finding money partners. Yeah. Especially in secondary markets. Absolutely, Kevin. I agree with that. It's harder to find good management or at least even management options, period, in secondary markets. In some markets, there's just none. So you end up just hiring someone to kind of do some tasks for you. So that is a big one. In terms of like, we don't have time obviously to dive into each and every single one of these things, but no matter what you feel is in your way, I think the number one thing that is so important, and it seems so simple, but is using the investment community. This investment community, like our community, there's, hundreds of these now, there's so many groups. And I am so impressed always by the investment community in Canada and how willing people are to share. So no matter what the issue is that you are facing, like number one, use the community, ask for help, meet and talk to people. It's the number one thing I talk about with people is like, go talk to other people about this. If you want to invest in Calgary, but you haven't and you're, scared, like go talk to other people who have come before you. You don't need to go this alone. You don't need to, take on the world by yourself. But goal setting is a big one. And I'm sure Andrea is going to touch on this in her little section, but goal setting and getting specific, it also helps your team, right? So whether it's can't find the right deals, can't find the right managers, can't find the right people, the right trades, the right opportunities, that sometimes is that you're a bit too broad. So to kind of drill it down and get specific on what your next goal is, because we all have big goals and need to break them down into small goals. So yes, love that, Kevin. Goal setting and more success, Kevin says, when he focused in on one asset class in a specific area and helped me to scale up quickly. 100%, because you have the team, you have the knowledge, and you also have the confidence and the skill in that area. So picking a niche or a specialty, whether it's secondary suites or multifamily or flips or whatever it is to get specific. So get specific with your goal setting, have those big goals that are, your 5-year, 10-year goals or whatever, but let's break it down to what is my next goal? What is my next thing I need to do? Whether I need to talk to people, whether I need to, raise money. And if you need to raise money as an example, then, and you need to meet the people you're going to do that with, then how are you going to do that? And if you break it down and say, okay, I'm going to try to at least chat with 2 people a day or 1 person a day, even that I don't know yet, it'll keep moving things forward for you. And I find the community is super, super helpful. So yeah, information is key. Absolutely. Oh, thanks. Yeah, the YouTube channel is linked there. A really common one is money partners and private lending too. So again, talking to people, the more people you meet, the better, because you need to find people who, have an alignment with whatever it is that you're trying to do. So meeting those people, very supportive community. Absolutely, Kim. Meeting those people is number one. And if you, are brand new and you're not educated yet and you need to, learn along the way, of course, you need to get your education. But analysis paralysis, yes. Your BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals. Absolutely. You want to have those, but they can also be terrifying. It can be super terrifying. Does anyone want to kind of like chime in and kind of tell the community here what they're, feeling in terms of like in terms of what they need to overcome right now? Like, I'd love to kind of have a couple, actual examples of what people are dealing with and see if we can help you in any sort of way or strategize around it. If anyone is brave enough, let me see. I can't even see it. Oh, there we go. Anyone want to share what they're working on, what they're struggling with? Maybe decisions you're having, a hard time making? No? Nothing? Okay.
Well, Natasha,
Yeah.
I'm in secondary markets like Lacombe, Red Deer, Penhold, Central Alberta, and
Yeah.
I find, like I mentioned, it's challenging finding managers. I got a great manager, but now they've got a larger portfolio, and I'm getting watered down. It makes sense, or I'm not her primary
Sure.
how can I say, primary investor anymore. And I find the vacancies are going up a little bit, or it's just I'm not in control the way I was.
Yeah.
Are there others with portfolios that they're finding, like, how do I manage my manager better? I guess that's my challenge. I'm learning to be involved, but not too involved because I'm focused on investing, but makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Totally. And what I always tell people to is you don't want to buy yourself another full-time job, right? That's not the goal of what you're trying to build, I'm sure, Kevin. But that is a legitimate challenge when you go to smaller markets, and unfortunately, it might take you a bit more time. I would personally ask your manager, if you have a good relationship with them, like what could be added, what is needed to be able to get you the service that you need, because they obviously already know you and probably value your business, like, and maybe you're already doing this, but it's, you know, I think our market in Calgary and area and Alberta, just with how crazy the real estate market has been, it seems like in every you know, property management, lawyers, realtors, mortgage brokers, everyone is like drowning a little bit, and the intention might not be to, you know, kind of drop the ball. And sometimes that conversation can go a long way. But, you know, maybe they need that feedback from you. Like, hey, like, you know, I love this relationship, love what we're doing, but like, this is what I need. And maybe they need to, possibly they're at the point where they need to hire and are kind of maybe scared to do that, right? Does anyone else have any smaller town properties with any experience in this? No, everyone's in the major cities. Are they, Kevin, are they a licensed property manager?
Initially it was a private, how can I say, a private assistant that I had.
Okay.
Who actually is, which was great actually, but now it's a larger portfolio it is a property management company now. But I feel it's like a watered down. I don't have the trained investor now as my property manager, my personal assistant with my properties, if it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. The other idea, so in Alberta, property managers and realtors are licensed. This is not the same in every province. This is why I am bringing this up. And there could be an opportunity where there's realtors in these smaller markets that are, that you could maybe like let them know this is what you're looking for. They may not have even thought that this could be a portion of their business, especially if there's a realtor that you've already maybe built a relationship with or something. And this could be an opportunity for someone to learn something. Like, they'll be green and you'll have to invest some time in them, but it could be worth it when they know they've got an ongoing now portfolio of business that would support them. So just might take a bit more conversations. Everything's about conversations, isn't it? That's a great one though. Same thing with, you know, really small town anywhere. It is, I was actually looking at a property.
This guy that's talking,
in
I
Cold
was
Lake.
just talking to him. He's
You're-
got 16 fourplexes.
I'm not sure who that was. Not sure if that was meant to be shared. Anyway, Michael. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So the knowledge, time is another big one too. I feel like when people are first getting started in this, you want to do everything yourself, like kind of what I mentioned. You don't want to buy yourself another, you know, full-time job. And trying to delegate as much as possible is critical. So you're spending the time growing your real estate investments. You're not having to spend all your time with all those little details. So just as a reminder to always go back to what can you unload, because we're all busy. We're all, you know, trying to do many, many things and keep many balls in the air. So delegating whenever possible to keep your time focused is a really, really great skill to have. I'm gonna go back. I know I missed one. Challenging to find the right deals. So that that's a very broad comment. Like I don't know what your strategy is. If you want to turn on your mic, I'd love to talk to you about that. Why can't I scroll down? That was, sorry, I just lost your name. I read it and now it's scrolled down. Olusegun, are you still here? If you want to chat about it, I'd love to chat with you about it because I'm sure it'd be helpful to a lot of people. Finding the deal is, again, comes back to strategy. If you're not finding deals, to me, that means either your strategy and your goals are not lined up with the right market. If you're trying to say you want to be a flipper, well, you know, the best market for that might not be your backyard, or it might not be, you know, lining up. So I would say start with the strategy and then always find the best market for whatever that strategy is. And it could vary in your city, it could vary in your province, but that is a really difficult thing to do, and you don't want to look outside of your own backyard. But if you're not finding deals, that would be my top choice. Yeah, absolutely. Maintenance, that's another one, Kim, in smaller towns. So, okay, Danny, where do I look for a quality tenant? How to vet them? Kim, do you want to jump in on that one? So Kim on our team is a licensed property manager, has managed many of our clients' properties as well. And she maybe can take on that question, is how do I find a quality tenant and how to vet them? So Kim, I'm going to spotlight you if I can find you. Actually, can you say something, Kim, and then it'll pop up.
Hello, how are you doing?
There you are.
Here I am. Yeah, I vet and find tenants. Basically, I put out an ad, and when I put out the ad, I want to talk to these people. So I don't just want them to say, "Yeah, I'm interested," and then hope that they're going to come to the open house on Tuesday. And so what I try to do is have a conversation with these people, ask them who they are, what their job is, how many people are going to be living there, what their expectations are, if they plan on how long they plan on being there. So when you have a conversation with somebody about what their job is, who they are, what they do, you can start to get a feel for what they're into and what their focus is. Some people are like, well, I'm only going to be here for a couple of months. So a 1-year contract is not really a good idea when you're talking to somebody that, you know, is only going to be here for a couple of months. Unless you're flexible or amicable to that kind of a process, like an Airbnb or a month-to-month program. But a lot of us want to have those longer term 1-year tenants. They're a little bit more stable. They're not as much work. But to vet them, you know, my biggest take or give is from watching their children. If I meet up with them, if they come to the open house or if they come and see the property, watching their children and see how well their children behave, because they actually tell me a lot about who they are. But the other part is I'll look in their vehicle, and if their car is a mess, the answer is no, right off the bat. Just because, you know, they're going to keep the house the same way or worse. So when you're trying to find good tenants, those are some of my best little tips and tricks that you can look for. But having a conversation initially saves you a lot of time and heartache, especially if, you know, you got 10 people you're talking to. You want to have some quality conversations with a few people before you even tell them you want to meet up with them and show them the property.
Yes. Yeah, don't just drive over there right away, because half the time they won't show up. And if they won't even have a conversation, then they're probably not going to show up. And now you've wasted your time. So that's a really, really good point. Yeah, check social media. And there's lots of great tenant screening tools out there now. You know, you can look online and you will be able to do their screening. In terms of hiring a property manager or not, I kind of have two takes on this. One is, in terms of questions like this, always go back to your personality, right? If you feel confident in taking this on and, you know, doing it, and you have the time for it, like absolutely go for it. The good thing about managing your property, especially if it's the first couple of properties, is you will learn how you want your properties run. You will learn what it, you know, takes to do this job. And then you will also know how you expect your future property manager to run your property. Because if you've never kind of gone through it yourself, you might not know what you don't know yet. And so often I find people manage their first few properties until it's maybe becoming a bit much, and then they get a property manager. Now, that being said, if you're not comfortable with the screening and the, the asking the questions, like that makes you uncomfortable, or you're just too busy, you don't think you can, do that, or the paperwork is just not up your alley, you can also get a tenant placement. Kim, do you want to tell us what a tenant placement is with just like a leasing agent? Oh, Kim. Oh, I don't know. I think she's muted. Kim, can you hear me?
Just a second. Okay.
Oh, you've got a loud background.
I do. Yeah, tenant placement is basically a service you pay for, one upfront cost to help you place a tenant. After that, you can do the property management on it, and it gives you a lot of control over what you want to do. And sometimes with tenant placement, you can even ask if you can meet the tenant so that they work with you and your style of how you want things to operate. That is usually a big factor when you are managing your own properties, even from afar.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can I chime in, Natasha?
Yes, 100%.
I think one thing that a lot of people who are new to this maybe overlook is they're thinking, well, I'm going to manage the property myself. I'll save myself lots of money, good learning opportunities. And it's all true. But what they don't know is that, at least from...
Well, sorry, Alex, I muted you by accident. I'm trying to spotlight you.
I don't need the spotlight, but I just wanted to say that sometimes what they don't realize is that the property management company, like, they're very good at what they do, and they know their numbers really well, probably better than you do. And so oftentimes they get way higher rents than you would, and you'd be surprised how much they upsell. Garage, sure, extra $150. Oh, you want that side gravel? That will be additional $75. Oh, and you have a pet, so there's pet deposit and monthly pet fees, and they upsell so much that when I compare what I'm getting, and I'm thinking I'm getting a great deal here because I'm managing them myself, and then I see that somebody else is getting $200 more, and I'm like, what? So, so for me, it's fun managing my own, but I just have that type of personality. I like people, right? But if I didn't, or if I was too busy, I would absolutely outsource it to a reputable property management, and you might do better than me. You'd be surprised. That's all I have to say. Great
ad. It's kind of like the question too, should I become a realtor if I want to get my, get into real estate investing? Like, I absolutely love being a realtor, and it sort of helps me, but it also consumes a lot of my time when the business is so busy. I'm not spending time on my own investments, right? Like it's a constant struggle for me because I'm doing real estate all day, every day. And I love it, but it doesn't necessarily just naturally move the needle for me. I think if you want to build a portfolio, talking to as many people as possible, learning as much as you can, and taking action and finding the best people for each job. Find the best investment focused realtor, mortgage broker that's investment focused, property manager, etc. Even down to your design team. I did an interview this week with Kendra Furman from Design Gal Interiors, and she's an investor herself and a stager and does interior design. And like, what a great asset to your team. If you're flipping houses or doing burrs, she will help you get the most out of that refinance, get the most out of that property. So find the people who are the best for that job. And the property management is absolutely no different. When you start just trying to save all these bucks, you're literally going to buy yourself a job. So we don't want that. We want you to be enjoying your life and enjoying your investments. So that was a really great ad there. Thanks, Alex. And I love this chat here about, well, first of all, Andrea says, ask them where they smoke instead of if they smoke. Good question. Love that. And then Ian's, letting us know as you're talking to people, like walk out to the car with them, you can be having conversations. And, that's just kind of where you end up in your conversation. People's car is a very good indicator of how they keep their life. So love that. Amazing tips. Was there one more? Yeah, check overall appearance. Oh, social media as well. Yeah. Absolutely. You need to have or develop people skills to manage your properties. Real estate investing is a people game just as much as a money game. Absolutely. Yeah. Find your niche, find those people, ask for help, and let the best people do what they're best at, right? So, okay. Now,
I just want to add something.
Yeah, go ahead,
Natasha.
Kim.
Some people think that they're saving money by doing their property management themselves, but sometimes they're losing themselves $100 or $50 a month by not having like better rent, because they're not asking for a higher rent from tenants as well. So also something to consider when you are bringing in somebody to help you with the property management.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Any advice on vetting someone coming from out of the country, like they're moving here? I mean, Zoom is number one, right? Like you need to get them on the phone. Like we need to talk to these people, but like video is great. Talk to the whole family, make sure you're getting to know everyone that is planning to move there. You still want to ask for references. You still want to ask for that stuff. And then I would kind of judge your comfort level there. That, probably wouldn't be my first choice for placing a tenant, but there could be scenarios where that could make sense. Maybe you might ask if you're, feeling a little bit more nervous. My question would be if they're coming from out of the country to what do they have established here in terms of income, roots, banking, all of that stuff, like credit. If they don't have any of that yet, then you're taking on a risk. If you're taking on a risk, you can ask for prepaid rent, for a few months if you wanted. I've seen that done, but again, gut check, as much screening that would be available depending where they're coming from, would definitely be to check. To kind of wrap this up, and we can, after Andrea's session, we can do a Q&A and talk further, but I just want to keep us moving forward here just to kind of add this overcoming obstacles summary. There is no way to do real estate investing and not have obstacles. There is absolutely going to be obstacles. And Ian, I love that. What is your time worth? There's going to be obstacles, but everything has a solution. Everything has a solution. I don't care what it is. There is someone who can help you, or a solution that can be put into place, or, these bumps in the road will come. And so again, go back to your personality. And this is not the same for everyone. When you're thinking about strategy and what you want to do in this space, maybe it's simply passive lending, private lending passively, so that you don't have to take on the day-to-day challenges. Maybe it's only flipping and projects because you don't want to deal with tenants. Like, know yourself first, and you know yourself more than anyone. And the people I see the most stressed out about this, about their investments, I find of like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have, stuck true to what is right for me. So really give that some thought, and because there will be obstacles, there will for sure be challenges, and learn from your mistakes. Absolutely, you're going to make mistakes. Learn from them. Just don't make them twice. Exactly. Thank you, Ian. I love that. So just, I always say, like, what problems are you okay to deal with? And there might be ones you're not, but the ones that we know will probably come in a renovation, let's say, like, are you okay to handle that? Are you going to be able to just not sleep at night for 4 months straight and, have it really put a strain on your relationships? You don't want this to cause you, that amount of stress. But yeah, just give that some serious thought. I'm sure Ian has a few stories behind that. Well, maybe we'll ask him. Okay, so to kind of tie all this together, I'm going to now introduce our next speaker. And I know, overcoming obstacles, there's a lot we can talk about there, but what's going on in our head is just as important as what we're doing every single day. So Andrea, thank you for joining us. I'm going to not mute you, but spotlight you.
Hi.
There you go. Hello.
Natasha.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. So you're going to talk to us about mindset and what might be holding you back as we're talking about obstacles. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you can help us with this?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been a real estate agent and licensed as an agent for just under a year now. But prior to that, I had been an investor myself, but I also worked as as a coach, coaching gymnastics, and I'm certified yoga instructor also. So I'm excited to bring in kind of my experience talking about mindset and going through mindset from those other realms, because I think it really does carry over and can carry over to any aspect of our lives.
Andrea was also a real estate investor, kind of like Alex was before becoming a realtor. Her and her husband were one of my clients. So that's how we met. So she's got a lot of excellent experience to kind of tie this together.
Thanks. Yeah, so one of the first things I wanted to talk a little bit about is imposter syndrome. And I think a lot of times, whether it's you're just starting out or maybe you're leveling up, that's what we're talking about tonight. So maybe you're moving to a different strategy or moving from single family to multifamily or whatever it is. I think at one point we all face or experience a little bit of that imposter syndrome, wondering, okay, is this right? Should I be here? Should I be doing this? So one of the first things that I think it's important to talk about is your why, and identifying the passion that really fuels your success. So whatever that may be, whether it's that you want to work towards financial freedom, or you want to set an example for your kids, you want to find a means to quit your 9-to-5, you want a vacation in Hawaii, you want to move to Hawaii, whatever it is, I think it's really important to bring it back to your why and then let that fuel yourself moving forward with whatever kind of work that you're going to do. So I want to invite all of you just to take a moment now, if you have a piece of paper nearby or a notebook or whatever it may be, and just take a moment to think about what is your why? Why are you investing in real estate? What is kind of the end, the means to the end? And because I think it's important to, again, come back to that when you are facing obstacles and challenges. And if you are ever coming up with that imposter syndrome, when you return back to the why, it helps us to be grounded and helps us to move forward. So I'll just give you a minute here to think about that. What is it that fuels you, and why are you doing this? Why are you here?
It's a constant, like bringing this back constantly, right? Like all these obstacles and issues and struggles. This is what gets you through that. So it's a great reminder.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like you said, it's so important to revisit regularly, because when we get so tied up with the day-to-day, sometimes it kind of gets pushed to the wayside. So if you have written it down, I mean, wherever you wrote it down, I think it's good for you to put it somewhere where you're going to see it. So post it in your office or pin it up on your fridge, but make it somewhere where you're going to see it on a daily basis, so you're reminded of that why. And then after a couple of months, mix it up, because often if it's posted on your office wall, again, you get caught up in the day-to-day, and then after a few months, you don't notice it anymore. So move it to a different spot, but just make it somewhere that you can see it on a daily basis, and that's going to remind you and bring you back to why you're doing this. Yeah, exactly. And goals evolve, you got it. So that's kind of the next thing I wanted to chat about, is then defining your goals to set you up on that path to reach that why. And exactly, your goals may change. Bathroom mirror on top of the toilet. That's awesome, Ian. Yeah, somewhere where you can always see it. That's so great. So you want to define your goals next to set you up on that path. And it's really important that those goals are SMART goals. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the acronym before, but SMART standing for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So making sure that your goals fall in line with all of those things, and coming back to them regularly. So I recommend at least once a quarter, taking a little bit of time to revisit the goals that you've set and reevaluate, because they do change over time. And maybe your strategy has shifted, or something else has come up, an obstacle that is going to cause you to shift your goals. So revisiting them and being able to evaluate them on a regular basis is important. And then the next thing I think is important to share your goals also, so that you're not only accountable to yourself, but to others. And I know that can be intimidating and challenging for a lot of us, but we do have such a supportive community. So I think it's really great to try to put our goals out there, and that way others can hold us accountable and cheer us on along the way. And then the third piece to this would be to foster a growth mindset. So that growth mindset is just seeing setbacks and challenges as opportunities for growth. And like Natasha was saying, I think with any strategy, there's going to be setbacks and challenges, right? We know that. So when that does come up, it's taking a step back, being flexible, giving yourself options. And because we know that there are likely going to be challenges or setbacks, it can be really great if ahead of time we can brainstorm what those potentially could be. And not only brainstorm what the obstacles are that we might face, but maybe some potential options to help us be a little more prepared if they do come up. And of course, there's always going to be some things that we can't prepare for, or we might not have thought about. Yeah, you've got it, William. Look at every challenge as an opportunity. Absolutely. And then along with that, it's have confidence in yourself and own your talents. You know, each one of us is really unique in what we bring to the table, whether it's experience from a previous job or from a previous strategy, but be confident in that and own those talents. And then on top of that, never stop learning. So it's so important, I think, to attend events like this, to make sure you're reading, so that you can continue to grow and add on to those talents as well. And then my final note is just to celebrate the little successes. So again, there's going to be challenges and setbacks, but I think it's important to celebrate the little things, the little successes, and share those successes. You're sharing your goals, and you may share the challenges that you face when you're reaching towards those goals, and then also the successes that you reach. So I know we don't have a ton of time tonight to go through goals necessarily and write them down, but I really encourage you to take some time. If that's not something that you do already, try to find some time in the next week to write down some SMART goals and come back to that why. And then again, find a spot where you can post it and then set a reminder in your phone that next quarter you're going to go back to those goals, check in, see how you're doing, and adjust.
That's a great comment.
Yeah, there's so many great comments in here. Learn from the mistakes, but celebrate the wins. That's right. Awesome, Ian.
I wrote down lots of great things. Like even starting with your why, we all hear that all the time, but it's so easy to forget it when things get scary. It's like, well, okay, that's gone. And then the other thing I wrote down was your why and kind of your goals, what drives you, you know, not having any guilt around that either. It might just be that you want a really nice car, or you want whatever, you want your vacation property, you want your second home, whatever that is, like no guilt around that. Like you're building something. So whatever drives you, it could be charitable reasons, family, whatever it is, like it doesn't matter, just being really clear on that. And then I really like the SMART goals because kind of, as I said at the beginning, like often I hear people like they're just open to everything, which is amazing. But then it's like, well, how can you know, us as your team of professionals help you when we're so, you know, it's such a wide range of things you're interested in, and kind of picking something, it's specific. So that is a really good reminder. What else did I write down? Oh, also brainstorm what options if things go wrong. I really like that, Andrea, because I always say like have plan A, B, and C. And if you cannot live with all three of those plans, and like you're, you know, this will just, you cannot, you know, have that happen, then maybe that's not the right, you know, strategy. Not that you want plan C to happen, but at least, you know, if something X, Y, Z happens, you have planned this plan already, something that, you know, you could implement. So such a good reminder. Tanner, mine says everything for sure. Celebrate the small wins and come back to your why. My worst one here is like, I probably celebrating small wins. Which is something I've actually been trying to work on, but it's really hard because you're just like on to the next thing. And then you've come a long way, but you feel like maybe you haven't because you're in that, you know, cycle of tasks. So awesome. That was great.
I'm really terrible at that. I'm really terrible about celebrating my wins, but
Yeah.
I started making myself set a goal and then actually go and do that. And they're just little goals.
Yeah.
And I went and did that. And after a couple of times, you get really excited about setting that goal before you start. And then when you get that thing, afterwards, it just makes it that much more fun.
Absolutely. Also owning your own talent. When we did the joint venture, I mean, we could do like 3 full days talking about joint ventures, but it's usually in talking to people, that's usually their largest, they don't give themselves nearly enough credit. Like if you're here, if you're in our ecosystem or, any of these groups, you are significantly more, educated and knowledgeable than most of the country in this space, right? So, but it's very easy to have that imposter syndrome or feel like, oh, I haven't done this like so-and-so has, or I haven't, but they all started at the same place too. So, yeah, just own what you're bringing to the table, because it's awesome. You've spent the time building it in whatever way, and you're continually focused on your real estate investing career. So amazing. Does anyone have anything else to add on that or questions? I like how Ian said it was above the toilet and on the mirror. Is that what he said? Yeah.
That's awesome. Wherever you're going to look at it, right? Good reminder.
Love that. Does anyone else have goals written down like continuously, or kind of, is this a really good reminder for people? Maybe.
Can I say one thing, Natasha?
Yes, please do, Ian.
Just a follow-up to the second point that Andrea had in her presentation about telling people your goals. It's important to tell the right people, and those people are the people within your community that have the same mindset and maybe the same vision or same goals as you. Just going out and telling everybody what you want to do, you'll probably get shot down more times than praised, and that can be a huge demotivator and bring you down from what you're wanting to do. So it's great that you want to tell everybody what you're all excited and pumped up to do, but most people are going to poo-poo on your parade. So if you're part of the right community and the right circle and the right a group of people that all have the same mindset, those are the people that you want to be really broadcasting what is it you want to be doing, because you're going to get that reciprocation and support back from them to keep you going, keep you motivated, keep you reaching those next steps or peaks.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. That's a good point, Ian. And it's finding those supporters for sure. The cheerleaders in your life that are into what you're also potentially interested in, what you're interested in, because for sure I know maybe your aunt is not going to want to hear about the real estate project you're doing, but finding your community and your supporters is really important.
Yeah, and it couldn't be easier now. Like it's really incredible. If you're interested in this, you can absolutely find a community now, which is amazing. So that's a really good reminder. Again, though, like, know your personality. If you have no problem with being shot down like that, then whatever, like yell it from the mountaintop. But if it's something that would be challenging for you, and for most people it is, like it is hard to, when you're really excited about something, and usually it's the people who are closest to us who are maybe the most brutal. I know that's definitely the case for me as well. Kevin, yeah, like my harsh, yeah. My father told me not to invest in real estate. Absolutely. I can relate to that 100%. He's now a JV partner of mine. That took 10 years. Yes, absolutely. I hear that so much. Or you hear from the people who have that rich aunt, they say, or I have someone, they know someone who they know has lots of money and it's just sitting there and all their properties are paid off and they've got, $1 million in registered funds and whatever it is. And they know that they could, offer them something better than what they have, but it's just not their thing. And, it's not worth banging your head against the wall over and over again if it's not getting you anywhere. So find the supportive people. Like I said, there's just so many people now. So I'd love to support you guys along the way. Even within our group, like post what you're doing. If you need someone to hold you accountable, even if you just post it within our group where you have a safe space, And you're like, okay, if I don't like tell someone this isn't going to get done, like I want to hear that stuff. I want to see that stuff. And then we can check in with you and it will remind us. And plus it's good for all of us to know what we're all up to. So please feel free to use our community. I really want that to be, you know, as much as anyone wants that to be a space where you can do that. I want to support everything you guys have going on. So use it. There's, you know, 1,400 people in that group of like-minded people, easy, just in one group. So use it. Absolutely. I assume that's the link to the Facebook group Trey just put up there. Just got a text question. Oh no. Okay, good. Okay. That was amazing. Thank you, Andrea. That was great. Very good. So that was kind of it that we had for the whole presentation, like formal part tonight. Just as a reminder, I would love it if you guys are not in the Facebook group to join us there, Calgary Real Estate Investing. Ask questions in there, tell us what you're doing, you know, just say like, hey, here's a photo of me doing this. Like tell people what you're doing, especially in there, because they may have, you know, opposite goals of you, or similar goals of you, but opposite strengths. And maybe you can partner up together and, you know, take on some of this stuff together. So use the group, find your people, share what you're doing. And then also please go follow or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Calgary Real Estate Investing, and also our investor spotlight videos. If anyone is interested in doing an investor spotlight video, please hit me up. We do an interview, just, you know, like this, we put them up on YouTube, and we have many clients who have used those to help get themselves to the next level, which that just makes me so happy. They've raised money, they've met partners, they've done amazing things just from having, you know, a little bit of a platform to share out with someone. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'd love to talk to all of you. Yeah, that would be great. Awesome. Absolutely. I will reach out to you, Kevin. So if there is further conversation wanting to be had around overcoming obstacles, I know we kind of had to go through this quickly because we did want to do the bit of the market update today. I'd love to, you know, strategize. We're here. If anyone wants to say anything, I'm just going to stop sharing this. Or if anyone even is up to anything, like, what are you working on? Tell us what you're doing. What you have on the go. Who's working on a deal right now? How do I? Anyone? Come on.
I just finished a burr on a sixplex here in Lacombe in my backyard, actually.
Oh,
So that was awesome.
where are you? Who is that?
It's Kevin here.
Oh, there you are, Kevin. You did a burr. Awesome. Are you all done?
Yeah, we did that earlier this year. We bought it, renovated it, and then refinanced all within 4 months.
Whoa.
So I was going to bring in JV money, but I decided not to because the deal was I've only got $25,000 in on 6 houses now. So
Wow.
one of
You
those
just went private money?
What's that?
You just went private, like private funds?
Sometimes I'm a lender. In this case, I didn't have that many zeros, so I borrowed on these ones. I borrowed the purchase price 100% and got some actually renovation budget from the lender and flipped it quickly or renovated. I didn't sell it. It's still in my portfolio, but.
Amazing. That's so cool. And so I always love this conversation between like getting a joint venture partner or, you know, borrowing private funds, because you were carrying all the work, all the risk, everything. But in that case, like you said, it just made sense for the deal, but also you were comfortable with that. You have the experience to do that. But like in something like that, there is absolutely funds available. Like when people say there's no money to be found, it's like, yes, but it has to work with the right deal. Like you can absolutely find funds. So that's amazing. Congratulations.
Francis and Dan.
2 deals outside of Calgary, 1 burr and 1 commercial. Be looking to purchase in Calgary soon. Awesome.
Good job, guys.
I'm actually, one of the reasons I'm in Toronto is because I am actually working on a project here. So I'll tell you guys what I'm up to. I have an offer in on a lot out in Cottage Country in Ontario, about 2.5 hours northeast of Toronto. So outside of my comfort zone. I've built many houses, but not in Ontario. So learning along the way, also using private money to finance the deal and the build. And I'm building my team and I'm doing all the things that we talk about, doing the exact same thing as well. So really, really excited about it. We're just building a 1,200 square foot A-frame cottage. So really excited about that, but getting outside of my comfort zone as well.
That is not a small project. Good job.
No. I like to just, just pile as many things on as possible, but no, it's exciting. We have the whole family here, talking about kind of like our why and our reasons. Like, we are really becoming more and more passionate as time goes on about like designing our weeks and our days and our lives how we want to. And our kids are now homeschooled, which I cannot believe is where we've ended up, but we're loving it. And we take so much of what we learn every day, like what we talk about, even in these sessions. That's what I talk to my kids about. My son is starting a business and he's 10 years old. And, he's in this really cool school where they really encourage entrepreneurship and critical thinking and all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of our why, is I want to live my days how I want to live them, and we do it together as a family. So it's pretty cool. All my husband's family is here, so gives us another reason to come out here a little more. Yes, we will be using this as a short-term rental. This particular lot is across the street from the lake, so you could literally like take your paddleboard and walk across the street. So it's not lakefront. I wanted to kind of start small, even though I was really eager to do this, but it's a 2.5 acre lot, so it's substantial, but it's across the street from a lake, and it will be a short-term rental. That's plan A, but again, even I have plan B and C for this property if that does not work out. I know my biggest concern with short-term rentals is always rules changing, and that is happening here as well, out in a lot of these townships in Ontario. So if for some reason we cannot do short-term rentals, the numbers will absolutely work to sell it. And I, like Kevin, am using private funds to finance the deal. So it's pretty exciting. Gary, what you got? You're looking at a new construction project, 7 bedrooms, 5 baths, first time in Ontario for short-term rental in cottage country. Ooh, well, we should connect, Gary. I would love to hear more about that. And like, even though our group is like Calgary Real Estate Investing, we're from like most of us here are from all over the place, or we invest all over the place. So yes, we have a common thread, but a lot of our clients are invested in several different provinces. And again, pick the strategy and then go find the market. And for what I wanted, cottages this was not Calgary. This was not where the money was at for what I wanted to do. So I'm going to find the market exactly like we talk about all the time. That's really exciting, Gary. So are you building that yourself, Gary? You said it's new construction, or it's like under construction and you're buying it from the builder. If you're building it yourself, or yes, please reach out. I would love to hear about it. And Anthony, yes, I'm in Toronto. I'm here. I've made it. We're right outside the CN Tower. My kids are like, we're up 42 floors or something, and they're super blown away by the downtown here. You're building. Awesome. That's exciting. Yeah, I'd love to connect on that.
Natasha, you can tell you're not from there because you pronounce the T in Toronto.
Yes,
it's
that's
Toronto.
Right. Exactly. No, I'm definitely not from here. As you see me walk around here, you can tell I'm not from here. I took like 5 Ubers today and did it successfully, though, with a suitcase. So I'm pretty proud of myself. So funny. And my kids went on the train, the GO train. I think that's what it's called, right? GO train. They were also blown away by the whole thing. Union Station. It's like a whole different world for them. Okay. What else? Is there anything else anyone else wants to talk about? For anyone in Toronto, actually, I am co-hosting a actual in-person get-together here on Saturday. This came up very suddenly in Mississauga. We've got about almost 80 people registered so far, so it's going to be a big event. that we're really excited about. It's not a formal event. This isn't like a big presentation or something. It's kind of just a gathering of, people with a like-minded interest in real estate. So if you're in the area, I did post the link in the Calgary Real Estate Investing Facebook group, but if you don't have it, let me know. And love to see you there. Where are people finding more competitive rates for insurance on residential properties? Ooh, this is an interesting question. Yes. And Kevin, a really interesting thing to add to this for anyone who's from out of province is it's become more and more challenging too for rental properties for out of province. So if you're, from Alberta investing in Ontario or vice versa or whatever, the insurance even options period are becoming very minuscule. So rising insurance rates is a huge issue, but does anyone have anything they want to add? Has anyone done any, extensive research on this lately? No problem. Thanks, Chad. Insurance, no. The one group that I use, Kevin, who I refer almost all of my clients to now, is actually in Ontario. And again, it's not because, there's necessarily no good insurance brokers in Alberta. It's that finding investor focused brokers. This is just where I've come across the best people who have given me the best options. So no, not Dan. I mean, Dan could be good, but that's not who I work with. They're an agent with BrokerLink. There's a few of them that work together. Matt Nelson is one, and then he has a team. But I've had cases where we've had clients who have any sort of rental program, like rental guarantee program or property management or anything like that, combined with being out of province, have had a very difficult time getting insurance this year. So, and they've always been able to make it happen for us, but rising rates. And then condos, you now need insurance for your insurance as well. With the, sure, absolutely, Kevin. Shoot me a message and I'll get you their info. So far, they've done the best job for me, and they only work with investors as well. So happy to share that. There's something else I was just thinking of. Oh, does anyone have any questions about Alex's information? I know Alex has to run soon, but is there any questions about kind of any of the numbers or the market data? Also, reach out to her if you want the actual report, but is there any questions around that kind of stuff specifically to Calgary? You answered all the questions, Alex. Well done. No questions then around that. Okay. There was one other, I missed one other question. It was around deals or what people are. Kevin, I missed your comment there about my goals have evolved over the last 10 years, but my why has always been the same. It isn't about the car, it's about the freedom. Yeah, 100%. Which is why you don't want to buy yourself a job.
Natasha, if you don't mind, rather than me typing back Alexandra's presentation there, I do have one question. With the new mayor, I know she's only been in the office there for a couple of days. How do you think this new mayor is going to be in comparison to the previous one with respect to just the whole rental properties and landlord rules and stuff in Calgary?
Oh, can you? There you go.
There
you are. Yeah.
That's a tough one because I mean, we all got used to Nancy and we knew what he was trying to do, which is clean up those illegal suites. And I don't know her really well. I kind of just started getting to know her during the election process, but I did look at the priorities on her website. And like I said, she's really progressive and she's really invested into the city of Calgary. On her website, she says that every Calgarian is also an investor in the city. So I think she's going to be supportive. I don't see why she wouldn't. I mean, her goals are all about bringing people here, right? And that means providing housing for them, cleaning up homelessness, but that's, everybody says that. But even with her priorities with regards to downtown, I think she's going to be friendly towards us, but I guess time will tell. It's too soon. She's got a lot on her plate too, so she hasn't specifically addressed that. But one thing I forgot to mention is that the rest of the council, we have 9 other councils that are brand new to it. So it's not like she can just make arbitrary decisions. I think they all need to first maybe go on some retreat, you know, somewhere in the mountains, get to know one another, see how they can actually work together. Are they on the same page about a lot of stuff? Because it's not like the mayor gets all the say, right? So maybe I'll have more info. I'll dig into it for the next webinar. But right now, I mean, she just got elected on Monday, so it's I don't know. I feel optimistic. What do you think?
Well, and I think the new council is almost more of a mystery. Like I believe I read that was the most new council members at once.
Yes, and the most diverse too.
Yeah,
right. Different
So-
cultures, women and men, and with different business backgrounds. You know, so
yeah.
I'm sorry I don't have more info, but it's too fresh, and I don't know her that well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And not many counselors, or I didn't really hear anyone even really taking that much of a stance on secondary suites or you know, like densification or anything that like all that much. So it'll be very interesting to see where this
Like
all
it's
goes.
almost like as if it stopped being an issue. And yet a couple of years
Yes.
ago, that's all they talked about, right?
Yes.
But now I think they just have so many other agendas that are more pressing. I think they're
Taxes.
happy though with the direction of legalizing those suites, because throughout the COVID, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but not too many landlords lost tenants, right? There was CERB, there was help. I was actually able to increase rents in COVID. And so I think it proved that like things are not shaken too much. And so then they don't want to break or like how do you say it in English? They don't want to fix what's not broken, you know? And I think I really get a feel that she's going to want to continue that legacy. There's still, what is it, Natasha, like 16,000 outstanding illegal suites that haven't been
at least,
legalized,
yeah.
right? Most of them in Northeast. So I would be surprised if they don't give us another extension, but also they might just cap it, which would be really good for us, those of us who did take the time to legalize, right? But then what do you do with those tenants that will be? And another thing to consider is like, we don't have vacancy problems right now. So there is not a lot of need for them to address it. They have to address other pressing matters. So I don't know, Ian, I can't really answer it confidently.
Well, and I think I actually did meet with, they actually didn't end up running, but they were candidates and decided not to run. And they had told me that they had kind of heard from, you know, their conversations with council members that the deadline for secondary suites was part of their push to try to get more tenants downtown. And so they're thinking if they decrease rental supply in the suburbs by shutting down illegal suites, well, now that it'll push people downtown. I personally don't agree with that, nor do I think that like people live where they want to live. If they wanted to live downtown, there's plenty of, you know, there's plenty of condos to rent. That's not an issue. So I don't think that's going to solve their problem, but I heard that from a few different sources. So maybe that was part of their strategy around this. We're going to have this hard line, you know, end of this year, and that's it. But remains to be seen. Should be interesting. Anyway, either way, if you have a legal suite, you need to make a decision one way or another, what you're going to do with it right now. So absolutely. Anything else? Any other things anyone wants to talk about or go over? If not, we'll probably end there. But if there's anything else I can help with, love to hear. Everyone's zoomed out.
I just want to say thank you, ladies, for everything that you guys brought. Great information from both of you.
Yeah, they did great. Great. Also, if there is any kind of like ideas or ideas for next session, let me know. Throw them in the chat or whatever. Love to hear, obviously, how we can best help. And if you want to do the interview, the investor spotlight interview, one fun thing I was doing with them as well is like a live strategy session where we literally just strategize about you specifically for that hour. And it is so helpful for everyone that gets to kind of watch it. But I know you do put yourself out there a little bit, but those can bring opportunities to you. So if that's something that's interesting to you, certainly let me know. I would love to talk to you and chat with you and have that kind of live strategy session. Yes, and there's a link to the Facebook group. The videos are in the Facebook group as well as this, but if there's nothing else, then we will wrap it up there. If you're in Toronto, you want to come on Saturday, send me a note. I'd love to see you here live. Actually seeing people in person is exciting. So I'd love to see you as well.